Okay, welcome to Current Exposure. Good evening, everyone. Come on, let's get some people into the live stream. Let's go. Let's go. We have a nice lineup this evening. We're going to have Lynda Lloyd, who's running for City Council at large. She was born and raised in Newark. She has always worked to help families. She has guided young people and helped to strengthen our community. She's a mother, a teacher, a business owner, a lifelong advocate, a homeowner, and she's running for Newark City Council because she loves our city. And she believes that everyone deserves an opportunity and a voice in shaping their future. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Miss Lynda Lloyd. Hello, Lynda.
Hello. How are you, Shakima?
I am well. Thank you for asking. It's nice to have you on.
I really appreciate you extending the opportunity for me to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we want to know, well, people are going to get in the comments if they're not too shy tonight. Sometimes they get shy and they want to see and hear what you're saying and what you're talking about before they comment. And so yeah, hopefully they don't get shy and they ask you questions. But I want you to start off by telling us, I know you love Newark. Yes. I know you do. Mm-hmm. And with all that you've been doing in the city with the NAACP, the Civic Engagement Committee, PTA, what made you decide to say, you know what, I need to run for city council? I'm not doing it. Well, did you feel like you weren't doing enough, or enough wasn't getting done by the current leadership?
Well, I have always been interested in electoral politics. And even being in middle school, like I attended Camden Middle, is no longer there. Oh, well, the building is there, but it's no longer Camden Middle School. And so I knew who my councilman was in the West Ward, and I would have conversations with my father about politics. So I started organizing community events in high school. So I'm a graduate of Westside High School.
Okay, shout out to the Rough Riders.
If I could do that. I saw recently they have some new sign. I was like, nah, it's too close to Capitals. We're gonna stick with the W. But so I started organizing in high school. And in fact, I told this story. I didn't know if she remembered. Then Councilwoman Bessie Walker, she was at large when I was in high school, and I worked with her office, the prosecutor's office.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Essex County Prosecutor's Office?
Essex County Prosecutor's
Office.
I cannot remember the sister's name. It starts with a P. I want to say Patricia something, but this was around the time I was in high school, so I don't remember her full name, and I don't want to get the sister's name wrong. Okay. And street doctor, right? The street doctor was just like getting around in, and at that time, gangs were starting to become more prevalent. And so I organized a anti-gang program for my school and with the help of the office. And so since that time, I've been involved in the Newark NAACP Youth Council. I was the president when I was in high school. So I was always like civically engaged. And so I wanted to attend Howard University because of the legacy and the leadership. And I'm like, I don't care about any other acceptance. I got to get into Howard. I have to.
Okay.
And so I was blessed to attend and graduate from Howard University. So I studied.
Oh, yeah, you got to say that graduate.
Yeah, I know, that's why I went back. You know how we are. Like, you attended.
Right. That's like I attended Dayton Street School, but I graduated from Project Link.
Gotcha. Oh, I remember Project Link. That was at Shabazz too. Did you go to Shabazz?
No, I went to University High.
Okay.
I went from Dayton Street. I transferred to Project Link and finished out seventh and eighth there.
Yeah, I remember Project Link. So yes, I attended and graduated from
Nice.
Howard University, and I studied political science, right? Very intentionally. And so I also, at the time, the late Congressman Payne Sr., he was serving in Congress, and I didn't know so many people at home knew who he was, but
Mm-hmm.
I needed an internship for class, and so I literally called his office like multiple times a week, to the point where his scheduler, Darlene, was like, girl, send me your resume because we're going to keep calling you. Like, literally, that's how I got in the office. And I got home.
Wow.
All these people like, oh, they know him. And I was like, well, whatever. So I appreciated that my tenacity, got me in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it was God. That's my belief. But, my stick to itness. So I had an opportunity to intern for that semester, and then he let me stay. So I like worked in his office while I was in college. Once I graduated, I worked there as well. And then I also spent some time in the New Jersey in the district office in Newark.
Uh-huh.
And so I always have had an affinity for electoral politics. And just my thought process was politics, business and people are what creates a better community, right? They have direct
Mm-hmm.
impact on what the community is like. And so I
Yep.
wanted to, and I was also intentional working for then Congressman Payne because I knew that he used to be a councilman in Newark as well. And so through my
Wow.
experience in that office, he asked me to run for district leader, right? So I ran for a South Ward Democratic committee person
Nice.
right out of college. And so I remember I
Wow.
had like my little blue flyer and I was going around the neighborhood. This was District 13 in the Clinton Hill section. And people were
Wow.
like, you can run for district leader. And I'm like, yes, all you have to do is be 18 and register to vote. So I
Hmm.
served for district leader for like 6 years. And I've done a number of things since then that, perhaps we'll get into, but this
Wait,
is
hold up. You're glancing over. Hold up, the district leader. And
yeah.
there's an election too. The Democratic Party will be having well, they call them something else now. They don't call them district
But we
leaders.
call them district leaders as like a colloquial term, but
Right.
the official name is county committee person.
Okay. All right. So they have an election. There's an election coming up in June for that
Mhm.
too.
I think.
And I think that's like an awesome introduction into local government. And you just glanced over it like, oh yeah, Lala, you gotta give us more details.
Okay.
And then you did it for 8 years.
6.
Six, oh my apology. 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're
In
seasoned.
two different districts. So if I could tell the story of like how the first one, so I don't know where this sister is, but there's a sister by the name of Joanne Miller. And
Uh,
Joanne Miller was known
I
in
know
Newark
Miss
like
Joanne. I used to
Joanne
catch
will
the one bus with her.
okay. So Joanne Miller ran, so she was on or is, I'm not sure if she's still in the area, but on the Hetton Terrace where then
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Park, now Mildred Helms Park. And she had been a district leader for like forever. And
Wow.
yes, I was on the Democratic ticket, but when I tell you, I literally stood outside of that polling site and I was like hustling everybody who went in there. I beat her like 3-1. So no disrespect to that elder,
Wait,
appreciate the
hold up.
service.
You Miss Miller?
Yeah, I took her seat. That was in District 13.
Wow.
And then I moved to District 15 in the South Ward, and I ran for district leader there as well. And then when I ran for council at large the second time, this is my
Uh-huh.
third time.
Wow.
When I ran the second time, that was 2014. So I didn't pay much attention to it. That was also the same year that we had that election as well, and I didn't run again.
Okay. So that's on your resume, district leader, Howard University graduate, uh daughter of Newark.
Of course.
You were in the congressman's office, interning and learning. So what came after that?
So after I worked with Congressman Payne, I served as a long-term substitute teacher in the Newark Public Schools. And I absolutely loved that. So I was, because, I'm the class of '07, but I was a super senior. I finished in '08. But that's also because I studied abroad. So it like extended my time a little bit. So my major was poli-sci, but my minor was Spanish. So I studied in Granada, Spain for a semester. In fact, I was in Spain when Katrina was happening.
Wow. Mm-hmm. You didn't tell us you studied abroad. That's important.
Yes. I mean, I'm not necessarily a person who like runs down like my whole resume, but I'm finding it more important to do so because I actually studied abroad twice. So I also studied in Egypt for 6 weeks as well. So, and then when I was in Granada, Spain, that was for 3.5 months. That was for a semester.
Okay.
And so I was long-term subbing, to 2007, 2008 was the absolute worst time to try to find a job in like these streets because of the crash. So, yes, I actually do remember him. That's exactly where I remember him from.
Ed the Fourth. I call him Ed the Fourth.
And so, so I was a long-term substitute teacher. I started off at Barringer 9th grade Success Academy, which is the old Gladys Hillman Jones. And that was so much fun. Like I was also like an advisor to the students. I like taught Read 180. I was assisting with like world history, English. And then I went over to Malcolm X Shabazz High School. That was my last permanent place. And then there was a small time where I was skipping around to like different schools as a long-term sub. So I did that for maybe about a year.
Okay.
And I worked for Communities and Schools of New Jersey, which no longer exists. I was the manager of the Mentoring Success Center. So my job was to connect students who were in the alternative schools at the time. I don't know if you remember, a new 200 Washington Street used to be where the board's alternative education office was. And so we were Communities and Schools in New Jersey. We were in the basement of 200 Washington Street. And my role was to work with the alternative schools to help some of those students get connected to different mentorships.
Okay. Yes. Is that the school on the corner of Washington and Raymond Boulevard?
Yeah, so it's like,
well, it used to be a school. I think now it's a pharmacy.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, my uncle used to. Yeah, he used to be the security guard there. Ooh, a lot of action. I subbed there one time too. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you used to sub too? Yeah, it's so much better when you're in a permanent location. In my opinion, she said, yeah. So because I have the experience of like going around to the different schools and then being embedded in one school, it's so much better when you're in a particular school so that you get involved in a culture, like you're a part of the culture of the building. And that's what happened for me at Barringer 9th grade Success Academy. So so I worked, that was like maybe 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And I did work on the campaign of then South Ward candidate Ras Baraka. He was running for South Ward. And when he won, I served in his office for a couple of years. And then after serving in his office for a couple of years, Congressman Payne Sr. unfortunately transitioned. And his son, Payne Jr., was an at-large council person at the time.
Right, and I remember.
Yeah, so he ran for Congress and he got that seat. And so I ran in a special election in 2013 to fill his seat. I was unsuccessful in that election, and then I ran again in 2014.
Okay. Ed the Fourth gave you your props. He said she actually should have beat John James for council person. However, she was not just running against us. She was running against the legend Sharp James.
Well, I won't say that I should have beat him, but I mean, of course I should have. I wanted to. but he's absolutely correct in the sense that, like, people were, and no disrespect to John, but in our town, legacy, unfortunately, it matters, right? And so folks casting a vote for John was like casting a vote for Sharp. Whether it was literal or
Right.
not, we just have to understand like the
Right.
political thought of
Absolutely.
people, you know?
And you know, it's important that you had that courage to go out there too, knowing that that may be a threat to you, someone's legacy.
I mean, listen.
And a lot of people said that too
I
around that
mean,
time.
if you
So
so at the time I was 27, maybe. So I was about
okay.
27. And listen, if you really want something, you have to go after it. You know, I studied politics. It's not, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that, and I looked at it as a vehicle to be able to create a better quality of life in my city. So it's like, you know what? If I'm serious about this, let me be serious about this. Let me
Right.
actually also study this, see how government works. I mean, eventually I became a National Urban Fellow and got a master's in public administration. So I've been pretty focused on like being a public leader, but not just a
Right.
public leader to be a public leader, but wanting to help run systems and make systems better. And so I
Uh-huh.
committed myself to studying that for those part of those reasons.
So you're just not anybody just coming out of anywhere like, oh, only need 100 signatures to get on the ballot to run. I might have a chance, because I think that's what some of the candidates are doing. And if they do a side by side comparison of their resume and yours, like, I mean, what are we doing here? We shouldn't have. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but I
No,
have to
I'm
say
here
this.
for it. I'm here for the
I
conversation.
I understand why we have 19 at large candidates, but it still makes no sense. I understand it in the way that people are fed up and tired, but then there's no unity. Everybody's talking about we need unity, but you're running and you don't even have half of the resume of a Lynda Lloyd.
I want to say that you're right. Not necessarily that you don't have a half of the resume of Lynda Lloyd. I'm not coming for their resumes in
No,
that
no, no.
perspective.
I'm saying
But
that. You
okay,
don't have to say. I'm saying that as an informed voter. That's the
that's
stuff
true.
I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to vote for somebody who spent 15 years in prison, and then they came out and decided I want to do something good for my city. Good for them, but
Right, right. No, I feel you. And so I've been hearing a lot of talk about like, oh man, there's so many candidates. So a couple of things. One, this is deja vu plus one. And why do I say that? Because in 2014, there were 18 people on the ballot for at large. 18.
okay.
So now in 2026, we have 19. And I don't think a lot of people remember that, but I can't forget it because it was my life. And then the
Okay.
other piece is that at that time, you needed like at least 2,000 signatures, right?
Right.
To get
Yes.
onto the
Yes.
ballot. And so I kind of knew that this was coming when I learned that the state law changed back in January. The requirements for the petitions to get petition signatures you need to get onto the ballot. I was like, oh man, there's going to be, a lot of people who are going to be running. That coupled with the fact that in 2022, there was no competition for at large. So I was trying my best to stay out of it. So many people like over the years have been trying to like get me, oh, you're going to run for something. I used to jokingly say that, I'm running for the border. So I'm not running for anything, but I have always been interested in building, community politically so that we have more of an impact and a direct say on who is. So we can vet candidates. And so right now,
Right.
you and I, we're a part of the largest voting demographic, not the ones who actually turn out, but eligible voters in the city, right? That's 18 to like 45-year-olds. But
Right.
unfortunately, we don't come out to vote for local elections the way in which we may turn out for a presidential election. So all of those things, like it takes a long time. We're going up against decades of like culture of people doing things in a particular way. And so, I was like, all right, well, I've been trying this on the outside for so long. Let's give it a go. I'm older, I'm wiser, more mature, more experienced. Let's give it a go to go for the seat again and see how we do.
Okay. Okay. Can you give us those statistics, because I know you when you had your one of your meet and greets, you talked about 10%. Um
Yes. So nearly, and I just, for the people who are like, you know, let me make sure it's exact. I'll give it a scale, right?
okay.
I'll say 10 to 15%, but
Okay.
it's closer to 10, right? And
Okay.
this is something that my etiquette is terrible. I need to plug up the computer really quickly before it dies. I overestimated myself. Give me one moment.
All right, let me read these comments. Shay says, Lynda, let's go break it down. Great discussion. Oh yes, we're definitely gonna ask her about her education vision. She talked about the reading program she had going on. Yes, she's definitely a parent.
Hashtag boy mom.
Hashtag boy mom. Ayan Wu Carter
And
4309.
Yawu.
Oh, Ayan Wu, my apology. Our next councilwoman at large, Newark, we need to get her that seat, period.
Shakima, if you don't mind, before you go to the next comment, I'm very big on like honoring our elders and the people who came before us, because
Okay.
nothing new is under the sun. So I want to give a special shout out to Ngawu, because his mother was and is, right, a legend in this city. And I say is because the body of her work and also his father's work, it you see that in leadership, whether you agree with the leadership or not. It's so many people who came through Quest. So I just want to lift up the names of Joyce Marie Smith Carter. She was my community mother. She actually gave most of her life to this community through Quest. And also his dad, her husband, Cliff Carter, who, everybody, I won't start naming names, but when you think about certain people that's running certain things in this city and in certain positions, we all came through that training. And so I just want to make sure I lift up their names. Ashe.
Okay. Okay. Kim Gaddy, second the Ashe. And also a reminder, May 12, vote 13B, Council at Large 2026. All right. Che wants to know about your education vision.
Sure. So specifically for the council, now we know just as an educational piece, the Newark Municipal Council does not have direct control over the schools, but
thank you for providing that clarification, because
yes,
people think council members can do things that they cannot do, that's not within their job description.
Very true. Very true. So the council has like different committees. So there is an education committee where there's some relationship with the district, and also some of the services I'm sure, shared with maybe the city providing for the district, but there's no direct control. However, one of the things that I would like to see is I would like to see more apprenticeship. Let me go back a step further. A direct pipeline from our current schools to the corporations and anchor institutions in our community, right?
Okay.
And so in the past, what folks will say is that, well, we want to hire Norkers, but we can't find any qualified Norkers to hire.
Right.
I'm not going to lean into that, right? What my thoughts are. But thinking in a solution way, I think that people who get contracts past a certain amount in the city and or receive abatements, like if there's like a pilot payment in lieu of taxes, they should be able to contribute to a fund that will pay for the young people to get apprenticeships and be trained for the opportunities in these anchor institutions. That way it's a direct pipeline. Additionally, that should be a partnership with not just the city of Newark and what we're trying to do with taxes or negotiation, but also current corporations should be paying into that, right? And so now we're not just having a situation where people are being trained and then they're looking for jobs. No, they're being trained for jobs on demand, right?
Right.
In our current city. And honestly, I would like to focus on young people, 16 to 24, to be able to qualify for that. And we can
Mhm.
leave a small percentage, somewhere like 15%, for other residents who are older who want to take advantage of that opportunity as well.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Can we circle back to the 10 to 15%?
Sure, sure. Yes. So 10 to 15%, closer to 10% of the registered voters come out to vote in the Newark municipal election, right?
Mhm.
Less than 3% come out to vote in the school board election. Like I just left, so I went. So you gotta love this intergenerational real quick. So I know every year at the school board, it's very easy, right? But I
Uh-huh.
work with Deborah Smith Gregory so that we could get the live onto the NAACP page. I literally drove over to Bethany. I'm like, are we gonna have it live? She's like, she give me her phone. I made sure we were set up, and I literally came back home to get ready for your show. So, but in
Wait.
the audience was not dense. The audience was hello, hello, hello. Anybody here?
Wow.
So the fact that
Wow.
we are broadcasting it live is a good thing. But
Right.
so folks will be able to see from the comfort of their home. I know the weather today is a little tricky. And we normally do have a really good crowd, but elections this year in general are eerily quiet. And I don't know what's up. Well, I kind of know what's up with that, but I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, so
Mhm.
for school board, we have less than 3%. And for a Newark municipal election, we continuously have around closer to 10% of the registered voters. So not 10% of the
Mhm.
population, 10% of the registered voters. And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that is. That is. Emily asked, "Will you open the educational committee to the public if you when you become councilwoman?"
Well, the committees, most of those things should be public unless there are things that can't be discussed in public. I don't
Okay.
that doesn't even make any sense to me why a committee meeting would be private. If I could watch a zoning board meeting, if I can watch,
Right.
maybe I don't understand. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Oh, okay. And this goes to Justice and Peace 22. It connects because Justice is saying she has provided so much education on this stage already, coupled with her vast experience in politics, education, and business, worldly knowledge from Newark and being given back to Newark. And hashtag FTLON.
For the love of Newark.
Oh, for the love of Newark.
For the love of Newark. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this for the love of Newark.
And Jessica McBoss lady was saying that the job training that you were talking about is very much needed and hiring people to get jobs.
Well, first of all, can I just give a special shout out to Jessica McBoss lady? Because
Yes,
I didn't tell you
yes.
about all my hats, but I was also selling, right, a marketing service, I don't know, before my son was born. And so before this text message marketing became very popular, I actually went to her as a young person and pitched it to her, and she signed up. The
Wow.
McDonald's on Springfield Avenue, yes, she had her on a marquee to text and to do text marketing. So I want to shout out to Miss McBoss lady for that. And I want to repeat to make sure I'm understanding. Is she asking for that place to be a place where she can get a pool of candidates to hire? I don't truly
No,
understand.
she was saying what you were saying about the job training, getting
Mm-hmm.
people prepared
Mm-hmm.
for on-demand jobs.
Oh,
She
so
was
in
like it.
general, like how do we
Yes.
get okay. So yeah, so that's actually some of the work that I actually do right now as serving as the director of career pathways for the Newark Youth Career Pathways program. But more
Mm-hmm.
broadly, again, the city actually has workforce development and training, but I would say in an instance like that, we could have McDonald's be a partner and do training and have a pipeline just to McDonald's for our young people, right? And
Oh,
some of
wow.
seeking employment. That's a part of what I'm talking about. Like we should
Right.
have to go outside of our community to look. Now, everybody is
Right.
not going to be able to be hired in the city, obviously, depending on
Right.
what they have going on. But we
Mm-hmm.
need to have these partnerships where there's a smooth transition, right? There's a pathway. It's like maybe you
Exactly.
take a class, you express interest in one particular thing, you get some training in this area, you get some exposure, and so when you get to the place, you're actually ready. So a number of the
Right.
students that we work with in the capacity that I am now in our schools, our students are studying different CTEs. And CTEs are career technical education. And when they graduate from high school, they have to serve a certain amount of hours and they sit
Uh-huh.
for a test. And many of them graduate. If they meet all the requirements, they graduate with a certification to start operating in that particular field if they can, depending on what it is. Like more of the hands-on stuff
Mm-hmm.
they can. Some of the other stuff might require a little bit more schooling, but that could be an option. It doesn't have to be specifically for McDonald's, although that would be great if she's interested in being a partner. But it could
Hit,
be
hit.
listed, right? But it could be a situation where it's like you want to, this young person or these people want to learn how to be restaurateurs, right?
Right.
We're going to have, because we see a lot of businesses. I'm going to quote Councilwoman Amina Bay, unfortunately, where she's trying to work to get businesses from having grand openings and grand closings. And so if I study the process, right, every part of the process, not just I want to be a boss, but I
Right.
want to be a boss, but I need to know how to work the front line.
Sustainable boss.
Right. I need to clean the bathrooms. I need to work every element of my bit of a business so that I'm learning, right? And I
Right.
think that McDonald's definitely has the capacity to be able to do that. And I'm only singling them out because she made a comment.
That was like I felt like one of my real jobs. When
So
you
did
had
you work at
responsibility.
McDonald's?
Yeah, I worked at the one she owns now on Springfield Avenue in Irvington.
See, okay. So see, this is what I'm talking about. It's that
Right after
circle.
high
Like
school. Yep. Right out of high school. Like after school, I would go to work for
I
like
used to
2 or
work at
3 hours.
McDonald's, but
Yeah,
not
see?
but at Terminal C in the airport. But that is a good example, right? We have people
Mm-hmm.
who live in the city, graduate from our schools or in this community, and now we're in a pipeline. You're learning. I'm sure that working at McDonald's taught you some skills that you
It
use.
did.
Right.
Yeah, it did. Yep.
So
Yep.
it all makes sense. And now you're here, right? Contributing to the
Yep.
city, the tax base as a homeowner. All of this stuff is connected. We want to be able to
Exactly.
get our people to stay here and not leave and think they have to go someplace else to be successful.
Absolutely. And McBoss Lady says, I have always said that you know your craft.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, they weren't shy tonight. Come on, keep the questions coming and the comments coming. The more engagement, the better. So let's see. Wow. So how do you feel the city? How do you feel about the shape the city is in now? And what do you think needs improvement? And what do you think doesn't need improvement and we need to keep doing?
First of all, starting with the end, some things can always be improved. If you think that
Okay.
you have arrived or we have mastered it, then that's a dangerous person, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
world is constantly evolving and things are constantly changing. So, what worked for us in 2006 is not
Right.
the same situation in 2026. So I'll just say that.
Okay.
And I will say that that's a little bit ambiguous. And I know you're kind of like leaving me to drill, but I would say I would like to get more direction from you. So when you say what would I like to see change, can you be a little bit more specific? Are you talking about government? Are you talking about politics in general? Like what aspect?
Let's touch government. You know
Okay.
what? We're not even gonna touch politics because
Okay.
that's wild.
Right. Right.
You can't control wildness and foolishness.
Right.
But just government as far as city services, trash being picked up on time and on the designated days, and what type of measures need to go in place when the trash isn't picked up. HR, how
Okay.
employees are treated in City Hall. Like,
Well, let's start with the garbage.
okay.
Let's start with the garbage, and then we can build from there. First of all, I want to say shout out to the guys who pick up my garbage right on my route. Um, Recycling, sometimes I have a bit of a challenge for sure. It's not the same as like regular trash. And so also this is also politics too, right? Because politics is in everything. And what I think an area where the city can grow is in communication, right? So, there's different mechanisms in which to engage with residents. And I think the city should just be more consistent in communication. I think that would be, cause for less confusion. So I know if like you are in an established block association, the Newark People Assembly will send emails and keep you updated that way. But everyone doesn't necessarily have may not have that connection. And the city is a business, right? This is a
Right.
corporate,
Absolutely.
it's a corporation. And our corporation, that which you and I both contribute to through our taxes, I think the
Absolutely.
area of growth is like marketing, right? And I'm saying communications, but thinking in a business perspective, it is the marketing. So I think if we got stronger with that, we would, I don't want to say better, but we would feel a little bit better about what's going on. But if you're frustrated, right, you looking up and down, you see that your trash is not picked up, you don't, one, who do you know to call? Right? And secondly, how do you find out like if you are going to when are they coming? So some people go to social media. Social media has been like the official marketing tool that I've seen for the city, but unfortunately everybody doesn't necessarily have that outlet. So I think
Exactly.
in terms of our city in general, I think it could be our marketing with residents could be better because communication could help ease some of the stress that people have about what's going on.
Okay. It's the feedback. It's the frustration is the feedback. And what gets me with them is that they don't see it that way. Some
Mm-hmm.
people take it personal and it's like, no, this is if people are like calling and saying this damn trash has been here for 4 damn days, blah 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 blah. That's the feedback.
Right.
That the trash is not getting picked up. It's
That's
not
my reality.
personal for you to hang up and be like, they're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple things. I think that we're harder on ourselves than we are on anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the reality.
Yep.
I think that, we don't necessarily show grace when we can, but also people are like rightfully frustrated, right? And so I don't know how you strike that balance. It's almost like, I don't know if I should use this as an example, but let's say the police, right?
Right.
I remember, I don't know how many years ago, but there was like an ongoing training that they had like cohorts of people that they were doing trainings with. Like they had officers in the training with like civilians and like just getting the perspective of the officers, getting the perspective of the residents, the civilians, and us being able to talk. It was a workshop. It was pretty interesting. It got real live at some points, but it allowed residents to hear officers differently. And then it also allowed the officers to hear the residents differently. I don't know if I said the same thing twice, but essentially each other. Okay. And so, but that was in small groups, right? And even still, like there are still some bad apples. It's not the most. But when you have a negative experience and then a lot of what you see is negative encounters, you already approach the situation with a preconceived notion about how it's going to be or what you think about those people. And so there's no real grace given because it's like all cops are like that. And then from their perspective, it's like you're supposed to be, not everybody, but some people, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And then some people engage you as if you're guilty off the rip. And so
I get that a lot. So I know what you're talking about. A lot of mischaracterizations.
Yeah. So I also think that that's a part of it, right? And so the reality is this: while we need unity, we need services, right? And even if we have services, we still need unity, some level of
Absolutely.
unity. And you're
Yep.
right, people do take it personally. But if you're putting yourself in this position, you know, this is kind of like what you signing up for. This is a hard
Exactly.
job, and this is a tough place, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
also to just in closing to what you said before about understanding the role, I don't want to say people have unrealistic expectations, but I want to say that sometimes people don't know what levels of government, like who is responsible for some of the things that they have challenges with. And
Right.
that information gap also becomes problematic because now you're getting mad, right, at the
Mm-hmm.
council for things that didn't happen, or a particular council person, which is why you shouldn't necessarily promise, because the
Exactly.
administration technically runs all of the departments. So you can call and put pressure. There are other things that you can do to kind of lean and put your power in. But like, your council person is not responsible for your trash getting picked up on the street. And then also as a community, right? I know people don't want to hear this. It's giving back to them, but like, the city is not responsible for cleaning up in front of your house. Like where
Right.
my house
Right.
sits on the block, I don't
Right.
know why, but all of the trash in the neighborhood wants to blow into my yard. I
Yep.
cannot call Kareem Adeem and say, yo, it's so much trash out here on such and such street. Somebody need to pick this up. Like Sharp James used to have a campaign when we were younger called Keep Newark Clean. Every piece of trash has someone's name.
I think we
So
need to bring that back
I
because
agree with
people
you.
have forgotten.
I agree with you. When I used to live on 18th Street, the brother next door to me, he did construction. It was an abandoned house on our block. He illegally dumping in the back of the house. Why are you
Wow.
in your own neighborhood? So again, this is not. I'm not trying to scapegoat
No,
the
but
services in which we pay for, and we should expect a certain quality. But again, that part is the unity. The unity is
it's a dual responsibility.
right.
Like I don't throw trash down where I live at, but I have a reasonable expectation that my trash will get picked up on the day it's supposed to get picked up. And
Absolutely.
when I email them and text them on their social media page
Mm-hmm.
that they put out, so you know, basically telling me this is a means of communication for us. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
utilize it, and you still don't come pick up the trash. I send you pictures. Then it takes days. Then when somebody does a public Facebook post, now it's, oh, y'all are badgering us, blah blah blah. But you never responded to me. Even if you would have said, oh, we'll be there in 2 days, I would be like, that's unacceptable. But okay, there's no need for me to talk about it except for with the director.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't
if you
disagree with you.
keep changing directors and email addresses and like, you know, and I think that's the transparency that we don't have too in Newark.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, here's the thing. Remember when I talked about like all of the changes? So for example, we have more people coming into the city, right?
Right,
To
right.
live,
That too.
and not even just to live, but to work and play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you also have more garbage. So thinking
Yeah.
about it in a business perspective as a corporation, and this is a question that I don't know the answer to, but this is the thought process. It's like, do we have enough personnel, right, to be able to deliver the city services the way in which it needs, so they're not the gaps? I'm not saying yes or no. I'm
Right.
saying that is a question that is worth asking, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we determine how many times? Okay. I'm trying to, and so I found out,
Oh,
I
you
was like,
looking
why
at the
do I see
comments?
all of these comments? And so then I went over and I clicked it and I was like, oh, this is a lot. Let me go back to private chat where I can't see it because I'm going to get distracted. But so yeah, like, and in some places, you know, they don't get the love. Some places only get their garbage picked up once a week. Some towns, some cities. Some people have bulk, right? Neighboring us, and they can only put out 2 and 3 pieces, right?
Right.
So it's like we have it good, but how good is it to your point, if it's not being executed in the way in which you expect, right? So
Exactly.
there's
And
that.
then going back to, I think somebody mentioned politics, has Farrakhan. He said, hold on, how are you, going to not touch politics? She's a politician running for a political position. The only thing she can affect is
I
politics.
disagree.
All
I
right.
disagree with that. I disagree with that. So, but I did tell you because you was like, now we're gonna stay out of that. That's crazy. And I lifted up. I'm not sure if the brother was here when I said it, but I said everything is politics. I said this is,
Right, you did. You
but
did say that. You did
I
say that. But I think people, how Newark defines politics is not the same.
right. So that's why I said I disagree. So I can have an impact on how I operate in politics, but what I am looking to have an impact on is government. Right, and the way our government is ran, and so that is different because government is not like just feelings and emotions. It's
Right,
about
right.
analyzing, like, how do you solve problems, right, with the resources that you do have, right? How do you
Mm-hmm.
feel, you have one slice of pie. I mean, one of my professors said this at one point. It's like one pie, right? You can
Right.
only cut it into 8 slices, right?
Yep.
But it's so many more needs. People want a piece of the pie, but you literally don't have it to give. How do you lead? How do you govern and still have a good impact on the quality of life of the people in which you're trying to help? So I think how we do politics, right?
Uh-huh.
I think of relationships when I think of politics. I think of building
Right.
or
Right.
destruction, right, on the other side when I think of politics. But I'm not running to be a politician. I'm running to be a public servant, and I want
Ooh.
to get into I want to serve in government, right? So that I have an impact, right,
Mm-hmm.
on the distribution of rights and resources, as Professor Karen Hunter would say, rights and resources, because that's what it is. You're
Okay.
making
Yeah.
decisions, right, on people's quality of life, right? That is a big
Yes.
job, and that's not about feelings and emotions and I don't like this person.
Exactly.
I have to have the ability to work with people who I don't particularly care for personally, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then as it relates, and I just want to say this one thing, and then you can dig deeper. I think I just wanted to say this because I think it's important,
Okay.
because I've been known my entire life, right? You don't know what Lynda, we don't know how she coming, right? And so that has also had me not being invited to a number of rooms. So
Right. Right.
you
Right.
started off talking about you're talking about my experience. In some places that doesn't matter. Am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to do what they consider to be the right thing, right? And so that is politics, and people box you out because they have their own agenda. Great. But it's not, if you're going to serve on the Newark Municipal Council, whoever you are, may God forbid that I don't win, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get up there and you're rebel rousing, and I'm not saying that's a problem. Definitely speak truth to power, but also activate that in your action and governance. Because to
Right.
get anything done, you need not just one, but you need 5 votes out of the
Right.
9 people that are on a council. So if
Right.
you're not able to establish relationships,
Right.
and people don't understand the nuances of that in this town, and it's a little frustrating sometimes,
Right.
and it makes it harder for you. It's like, you talking to this person, you ain't real, you fake. I saw you in this picture. Why you
Exactly.
want to be with this person?
Exactly.
If I'm not talking to these people, you're not going to get what you want. Because how you think
Right.
that that's going to happen? And so I see myself getting a little bit more passionate with that. I'm going to just, simmer down a bit. But it's important for us to understand. And also, being an activist and advocacy is not the same thing as leading in governance.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. It's not.
So
It's absolutely not.
yeah.
And I want to talk about For the Love of Newark.
Come on.
How what does it mean?
Oh man. So, you know,
And tell me how it started, where it came from.
sure. So, and I'm smiling really wide, and big because I'm really proud of it. So of course I live here my yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yes. So of course here I lived here my entire life, right? For the most part, except for when I went away for school. And I'm familiar with what the issues are in the city, right?
Right.
But I thought that it would be, the word is escaping me, but I don't want to assume what your issues are, Shakima. I could make an assumption, but if I'm saying that I want to represent you and I want to know what's important to you, I want to give you an opportunity to contribute to what my agenda is going to be. So I started off with some points and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to focus on. But now let's reach out to Newark residents directly and ask them what they love about Newark and what they want to see more of. Okay. And for us, that was a spin, because I can go to you and I can say, well, what you don't like with this, about the city and what you think need to change. Based on our conversation, I can make an assumption that you would start talking about the trash, right? Because that's what you were talking about here. But when I ask you what you love about Newark, it causes you to pause and think. And that's because we are so eloquent, right? And proficient at saying the things that we don't like and what needs to change. But what you do like, what you do love, it changes the chemistry in your brain and where you're thinking about it. So now I can have a conversation with you as a fellow resident from a base of love. And then we can build from there and find out what you don't like. And what you want to see change. So I just want to start with, I wanted to start our campaign and our mission in this city to City Hall with love. And so that's that's what it was about. And so we went around asking people what they love about Newark, what they want to see more of. And so promising that what they put in the survey, it would be reflected in my platform. And God willing, should I be elected to serve, it would help inform my agenda. And that this process represents me not just assuming what residents want, right? But also giving them an opportunity to participate. So for a couple of months, we shared it on social media. We had people sign up to be ambassadors, and they went to their different networks and got people to, encourage people to complete the survey. Another unique thing about this For the Love of Newark movement, and with the survey in particular, is that you could be as young as 14 years old and complete the survey. Why is that important to me? I mean, I spent nearly my entire life doing work around and working on behalf of and with young people, right? And so they are the largest population in the city. And so just because they can't vote in a municipal election, shameless plug, 16-year-olds can now vote in a school board election, and they should be voting on April 21st. But because you cannot vote in a municipal election doesn't mean that you don't get a chance to have a say in what you want to see in leadership in your city and what you love about your city and want to see more of. So that was really special to me, to be able to give the young people a voice in that capacity as well.
Joyce Hassan says, awesome idea.
Thank you.
And she said that the people have to first understand the role of each posture in the work chart of the level. Example, mayor, who's under him, council members, their role and how they work. I agree with her. I think we need more civic education. We need to talk about the actual, the charter is online. It is on the city's website where people can go and see who's responsible for what, as far as the mayor and council members. And they can even go further to ask their council members questions about what stuff means in the charter if they don't understand. But I think it should also be like in the community meetings about what a district leader does, what a council person does, what a mayor does, what a county executive does. Why do we have commissioners of Essex? Because I'm finding that people don't even know about this.
And so that's what I talked about earlier about and I was having a conversation with a sitting council person one day this week, And I said that, council members are some of the most, if not the most accessible level of government, right? So
Right.
there's no monthly or twice a month meeting with the mayor. And so we don't think of, to your point, going to a county committee meeting. I almost went there around my taxes, but that's another story for another time. I was able to research it, and I got, what I needed, but I
Right.
knew where to go, for my issue. And so what's important is that for people, to your point, to understand, but that also is what I like to say is that the silent majority, it doesn't speak, right? And that goes to the
Right.
statistic that I talked about. The majority of the registered voters aren't coming out to vote. And I think that's
Right.
a part of them not understanding like the connection. So we
Mm-hmm.
go vote for the president, and it's like this president is trying to essentially get us to not vote or have a midterm election. That's another conversation, right? So that big
Mm-hmm.
thing is happening. But then we saw what was going on. Many major urban cities across the country. Newark falls into that, right? That's one
Right.
level. But on a local level, what impact? Like you said, you walk outside and your trash isn't picked up. You're not calling Trump for that, and
No.
so you need
No.
to be able to vote. We also have a number of county roads, right? County parks in our city. So
Right.
as even as local elected officials and also residents, everything doesn't go to the Newark Municipal Council. We may need to go
Exactly.
to the county to talk about the condition of the track at the Weekway Park and how come this county park looks like this in this part of the city, but this county park looks like this in this part of the city. And so the bottom line to all of this is that what people need to understand is that the power lies with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
People count on you not voting, not being
Right.
engaged,
Right.
and the
They
same people saying stuff, and they tune that out because guess what? They are able to get the same people to come and vote for them because they're able to work their different networks. We cannot be mad
exactly
at that. What we need to be is to look inside ourselves. We don't like it. What you do, you don't get mad, you get organized. And
get
so
organized. Yep.
what my charge is to our community is, what's the one thing? Are there 1 to 3 things, right? We could disagree on a whole bunch of things, but is there anything that we can say, you know what? Yes, we can get around that and work
Mm-hmm.
collectively to be able to advance those things because people benefit from our division. So now I'm going someplace.
Right.
I want to go back, but these are the conversations that I really think need to be had. And sometimes we
Yep.
have
The
to take an
truth.
L. When you in a group, forget politics, or because that is politics. That's not governance. That's politics. If I'm working in a group, right? It's 5 people in a group, and we have to get to, we have the objective to do one thing. Different people in a group may have different perspectives about how to get the one thing done. But if we don't do the
Absolutely.
one thing, we're not going to get the grade. So we got to figure it out. Why? Because you want to pass this class and you want to graduate. In this instance, it's not necessarily that we want to pass a class, but we want to have a better quality of life. And we cannot
Yes.
attack all of the issues at one time, but we absolutely have the power, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
skill. I don't care what anybody say. I believe in us, right? I believe we have the skill to be able to get these things done if we're also able to manage our egos, right? Nothing is new under the sun. Our elders, right, who we
Right.
revere and we talk about them, they fought internally, right? But they were still able to get things done. Why we can't study? Why are we not studying what came before us and say, you know what, we're going to be stronger and not work backwards? So I'll stop there.
I agree with you. A collective movement changes a whole lot, and the division is not anything that any of us are benefiting from at all. Um, but I appreciate you coming on too.
Is it over already? Man,
Yeah,
that
yeah. It went fast, right?
went very quickly. But
That's why I said sometimes if people want to stay over and the audience is vibing, We could
Okay.
do that, or if you gotta go.
No, I'm
Um,
here for it. I saw when you were like, "This has been," or whatever you just said. It sounded like it was giving closing. So I peeked at the time. I was like, "Oh, we're over." I'm here. I'm happy to answer more questions. I'm happy to give information, where people could get involved in what we're doing. You have you have four at-large seats on the Newark Municipal Council, right? And I'm just looking
yes.
for one of the four votes. I know you have a lot of options. It's a lot of it's some people there that I've known for most of my life in the city. Their parents taught me in school. I worked alongside them in community. And so my trajectory in the city has touched a lot of people that are running for different seats. Some people I
Okay.
never heard of, and that's fine. We're a big city. But I really would encourage, and this is no disrespect to the men, but you spoke about statistics, and I also want to just lift this up for women who
Okay.
sometimes I think we forget the power that we possess, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least 60 to 65% of households in this city are led by women, right?
Wow.
And right now on a 9-member council, right, people who are making decisions
Wow.
about our daily lives, there are only 2 women,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the 4 seats that represents the entire city is held by a woman. That's problematic for me, right? When we were organizing, we organized something called the Newark 72 Collective. Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, we found in the 2010 census that 72% of the population in the city of Newark at that time was under 45. So that's how we
Wow.
got the largest voting demographic being 18 to 44, right under 45.
Oh, you
And,
guys did the data.
oh, listen, because I already know how
Hold
men,
on.
I know how my aunties, uncles, cousins, I know how they come in, right? But more importantly, that's why I went to school to study, right? And I don't know all of the answers, Shakima, I don't. But one thing about me is that I know where to go to access information. And I
Right.
think it's while I'm a very passionate person, right? I think it's
Mm-hmm.
also important to have some substance with my passion. And for me, the substance is the
Absolutely.
numbers, right? And so how do you
Absolutely.
move people? How do you move people? You start talking numbers, right? Because I know I'm of a certain generation. Some of these kids don't really know who Hove is, but Hove is my favorite rapper. Okay. Men lie,
Okay. Okay.
women lie, numbers don't. So if we're gonna
Mhm.
if we're gonna move anything, how do you start advocating for something? How do you start building for something if you don't have an idea of idea of where to go get the information, or
Right.
actually the information that you're trying to move? I'm saying the statistics, I'm saying this stuff because I got to know where we're starting from so I know where we want to go, right? So that's my
Absolutely.
thought process. So yeah, the North 72 Collective, we had a mission of getting more young folks involved in electoral politics, doing civic engagement, doing voter education. And also a big piece for us is we looked at the boards and commissions at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
because we are the majority in the city, we looked at the boards and commissions. It's like, why are these boards and commissions not necessarily reflecting the population of the city? So you're making decisions, right?
Uh-huh.
How are people getting appointed to these boards, right?
Right.
So of course their age, doesn't necessarily say it, but you can kind of like get a feel for, what age range they were in. And so we were working to get more of us to be
Mm-hmm.
considered to be appointed for those positions. Because again, a lot of stuff is with the city council, but there are also boards and commissions that kind of like govern and make decisions about what happens in the city. For example, the alcohol, ABC
Right.
zoning I spoke of before, and then all of
Right.
these other commissions, like you have that are supposed to be feeding also to the mayor and the council, supposed to be made up of experts or people who are studying and know that particular field to give the elected officials more detailed, specified information in particular areas to help them make informed decisions.
Okay. All right. All right. You know your stuff.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, again, I want to thank you for this opportunity. Like I said, I could definitely hang around for a little bit more. Um, if you would like me to, if there are more comments or questions, I'm not looking in that section because I don't want to get distracted.
You want to look? Okay, hold on. Do you all have any questions or comments right now that you want Ms. Lloyd to address? Let's see. We let's see what they say. If not, we're going to let her go rest because
Rest. What's that?
campaigning, yeah, is 24/7.
It's a lot, but you know, this what you signing up for. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wait, Joyce Hassan said zoning, LOL, a board that is more of who you know.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, our elected officials get the opportunity to appoint these people. And so, you know, yeah. I mean, you gotta make yourself known. Now that part of it, that is what the brother was talking about. That's politics.
Right, right. But I don't think there's nothing stopping the people from holding those board members accountable either.
Nothing
That's the other
stopping
thing.
for those
if you
meetings.
if you feel like, and this is where we have to take out the personality clashes, because if someone makes it to the board that you don't like, but if they're doing an excellent job, why are you complaining? Now if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, okay, then you need to come with legitimate reasons of what they were supposed to be doing and didn't do. That I feel like that's simple, straight to the point.
I don't disagree with you. I think there's some people who are in
Oh,
on my team that are in the comments. If they could type the website, which is
yes.
lyndalloyd.com, if you're interested in volunteering or staying connected to what's happening with the campaign. I'm also on social media, Lynda Lloyd for City Council, on both Instagram and TikTok. On Facebook, I am just looking, making sure I'm giving you the right information. Yes, Lynda
Okay.
Lloyd for City Council on both Instagram and TikTok. Yes, I had to get on the TikTok streets reluctantly, but
Ooh,
it's interesting
ooh.
over there for sure.
Yeah, I know.
Good
Oh,
time. It's a good time.
I know.
And
I got
then
a I
on
got a
Facebook,
question.
sure,
Oh,
sure, come on.
from
Let
Katim.
me just also just finish the
Oh, I'm
Instagram,
sorry.
and then no, it's okay because I want to make sure I close the circle. Instagram, I'm sorry, Facebook is Lynda Lloyd for City Council. It should be that as well. But yes, your question.
Okay, Katim Shara L says, "What are your plans for engaging more young adults in shaping the future of the city so they feel like there's a place for them to stay and build?" I think that's a great question.
Yeah, and so well, that's what I do daily, right? And my day job. But I think from a legislative perspective or from being on a council, you know, we have the power of being able to convene, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think it should be some convenings with young people. Like it could be an annual legislative, youth legislative
Right.
conference or something along that nature. So we are engaging young people. It could be tours, going or listening tours around their schools, or doing direct partnerships with the student not advisory boards, but the student councils in the different schools. And again, we could have an annual conference. There's all of these colleges in the city, right, that we can
Mm-hmm.
partner with to hold space and be able to engage them, listen to what they have to say, but not only listen to what they have to say, but let them lead, right? So
Right.
my role is, I just want to be able to bring the resource to you, right? But I don't want to do all of the things. I want to work in partnership. So of course we'll have like a youth a youth street team. Thank you for that, Kim Gaddy. We'll have a youth street team working with us. And,
Mm-hmm.
I always have young people around me and mentoring and things of that nature. But more formally, I think that we can begin with a conference, right? More broadly, to bring young people from different parts of the city together to be able to have them lead
Ooh,
each other in discussions and solutions. And then they come to
right.
me as the elected and say, this is what we want. And then I go and represent what they say that they want, right? And help them actualize that. But maintaining their leadership, maintaining their independence while I'm helping to navigate for them on their behalf. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, and we have another question from Yanwu. What do you feel is the biggest change that Newark needs?
That's a big question. We talked about it before. I think somebody says they didn't agree with me when I talked about how Newark is a corporation. And so we have to think about the marketing and communication. But I think we need better communication in the city. I think we have a big information gap, right?
Yes,
The city has some great things happening, but folks just don't know about it, or you might have to like know somebody to know about it. And again, that circles back to communication and the marketing of such things, right?
Okay.
And then I also think that what the biggest thing that Newark needs doesn't necessarily rely on the government, right? We need unity. I'm not, I know it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, oh,
Cliche.
just saying it. Yeah, yes, thank you. Thank you. Find it. But it's really the truth, because here's the thing. I'm in my corner arguing for this. You're in your corner arguing for that. We are here. But if we put our forces together, we would be able to move the needle. I'm not saying that everything is going to change overnight, but we have to be able to exude a level of maturity that says whatever we want is so desperate or so important enough that I'm going to swallow my individual pride and try to come to the table. And listen, some people don't know how to act and they got to go. You already know the cousins of that. So people who are not there to build, people are there to be destructive. We need to be able to come together and we don't need to know what this person did before and all this other kind of stuff. How are we going to move forward? So if I could say anything that I think that the city needs the most, it doesn't rely with the government. And I think that is unity.
Okay. Kasim said jobs and career pathways, opportunities to have a say, a nightlife commission, a council that focuses on improving our schools so I can be confident that this is where I want to raise a family, and home ownership opportunities for people to #stay Newark.
Well, for sure, we talked about some of those things, right? I talked about creating a direct pipeline from the schools, right, to some of the anchor institutions. I talked about having a fund and having folks like pay into training our young people so they're not only trained, but trained for the jobs that are in demand in which they need. And then they have a pathway to be hired into companies, right? And then also it's just not being entry level positions, but we need to be able to have them be able to access mid-level positions as well. And so those are some of the things that, we talked about earlier in the show. I also didn't mention that I'm a licensed realtor. And so, yes, I'm a licensed realtor. And so I do have some thoughts about creating home ownership in the city. I think, the partnership that the City of Newark has now with the Newark Housing Authority, with Invest Newark, and also with NACA, I think that that's a great program for people who have Section 8 vouchers to be able to purchase homes. That already exists with Section 8, right? You can do that. But I actually purchased my house through the NACA program as well. And NACA is unique in a sense that like they don't just put you in a home, but they counsel you, right? And so I would like to see that program expanded more to people who are not on Section 8, right? They don't happen to be on Section 8 and they don't happen to win a lottery for like one of the dollar homes or something like that. I would like for it to be extended, right? One, change the home qualification. So right now with that program, you can only purchase a single family home. But I would like to see it expanded to the other rules that NACA allows, where NACA allows you to buy up to a 4-family or mixed use property, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So not necessarily for the city program to be able to do that much, but if I wanted to, right? If I show my counselor, if I show proof, because NACA it's not for the weak, for sure. But
Okay.
it's really a wonderful program. They have some of the lowest interest rates, right?
Okay.
It's a conventional loan, right? That's big. As a homeowner, there's
Yeah.
no PMI.
Woo.
You don't
Beautiful.
you don't pay points
Woo.
on the loan. They say no closing costs, but essentially you get to like wrap the closing costs into the loan, which there are some other loans that would allow you to do that as well.
That
They
sounds
tell
great
people
though.
that yeah. And they tell people that is no money down, but there are two phases in a home buying process where you have to put money down. So you have to put something in escrow. And so,
Okay.
but going through that program, you don't have to necessarily put as much as you would in
Right.
the traditional home buying process. And so again, if we have a city where we have people being trained in apprenticeships in the building for people who are building in the city, you know, we have that program moving. We have people being able to buy some of these homes. Some people don't have the ability to see a process from like a vacancy. This house needs to be fixed up. They need
Uh-huh.
to buy it, move in ready. But what
Okay.
if we had partnerships, right, with
Mm-hmm.
some community-based organizations that have young people or residents in the city who've gone through the training, right? That
Right.
they could be able to, maybe I can get a contractors here for a lower cost than it would cost me someplace else. So I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
are different things that we could explore to increase home ownership in the city. And it's definitely something that we need to push, because
I agree.
right now a lot is on homeowners with the taxes. So if we increase
30%, right? 30% of 30% of residents are homeowners. So
it's not a big number, but
no, it
you
needs to
know,
be increased. And how did we get to that level?
we can also too, I mean, there's some creative things that we can do in terms of maybe working with some of the banks. I'm not really sure how the banks that are here in
Mm-hmm.
the city use their, what is it called, their CRA dollars, like, or CRA dollars. But it's like, hey, let's have a matching fund where if a resident goes through this pro home buying class, which will also be funded, right, by some of these people
Mm-hmm.
who are doing building, and also in NACA does that. There are federally fair housing, like certified counselors in that program. So I go through and I get housing classes. I know how to become an owner, right? And how
Uh-huh.
to maintain my property. I've saved up this much. Why can't, some of the institutions here or people who want to build here contribute to where, a certain amount of residents could get a matching fund? So like
Right.
I save $1,000. Now you
Uh-huh.
match the $1,000, and now that goes towards my down payment or closing costs. So I think there are some things that exist that we could spread a little wider, and I think with
Uh-huh.
the right marketing for people to yeah, because here's the thing, we also want to bring other institutions, we want to attract
Right.
them to invest here
Partnerships.
and right.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of my thoughts and some of the other pieces we talked about a little earlier. So I would say if we could just go for like maybe 5 more minutes, I appreciate
Okay.
it.
I mean, you could say whatever you like to say. I don't see any more questions in the comments.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I don't see anything else popping up.
Okay.
So yeah, we can close it out. You can let us know what line you're on, how to get in touch with you, how to follow you again.
Mm-hmm.
If people want to donate, where do they have to go?
Important question. I hope somebody in the team is in the comments posting these links, right? But so a couple things. I shared that I am on both Instagram and TikTok, and at Lynda Lloyd for City Council. And then I'm on Facebook as Lynda Lloyd for Newark City Council, I think. Sorry.
Okay.
So many spaces, but for sure the website is lyndalloyd.com. You can go there and donate directly. I greatly appreciate anything that you can give. Right now, Friday, I'm going to send some stuff out to our network to tell us to give us $10 towards the win, $10 towards the win, right? Because
Okay.
small dollars,
It counts.
can have a big impact. So definitely,
Absolutely.
but on the flip side, there may be somebody watching who has a little bit of deeper pockets, and the max contribution to a candidate is $5,500. And so it is very expensive to run a campaign. People are serving on
Mm-hmm.
my campaign for the love of Newark. I'm running for the love of Newark, but unfortunately, love is not enough to get the word out. We gotta get the word out through
Yeah.
love, and we got to be able to do some other traditional things, because to your
Yes.
point, you're saying, well, Lynda, if you have all of these qualifications or you have all of these experiences, it's a no-brainer. But people have to know that our campaign exists. And the only
Right.
way that they're going to know that our campaign exists is if we're able to reach them. So we have 61 days, 61 days to Election Day, May 12th. This year, my line number is 13B. I would appreciate having your support of one of the 4 council seats at large. And if you feel confident based on what I've shared today, and the things that you research about me online, you feel comfortable enough committing me to be one of your 4 at large, I would greatly appreciate it if you could commit your vote at imwithlynda.com. That's I am with, spelled out, Lynda, LYNDA.com. Thank you so much, Shakima. I really appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome. You're very welcome. Oh, you didn't even say what date the election is, what
Oh,
your
sure. So
number, your ballot number is.
again, I'm 13B, 13B, and the election day is Tuesday, May 12th. Tuesday, May 12th. Do not wake up on the 13th saying, oh man, I forgot. It's going to be too late. So that's why I need you. Again, if you feel comfortable making me one of your 4 at-large choices, please visit imwithlynda.com to sign up as a committed voter. And I hope to see each of you or learn that you all have gone to the polls to select me as one of 4. And I'm always in community, so I'm happy to embrace and to engage about what you care about and what you love and what you want to see more of in the city.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. That was Lynda Lloyd, Councilwoman at Large. This has been Current Exposure. I appreciate you all for watching and tuning in, and the comments and the engagement. Lovely. But I will see you next time. And we are out of here. Peace.
Peace. Have a good night.